Jake Morrison stood in the great hall of the Galactic Council. The room was huge, bigger than any building on Earth. The walls were made of crystal that glowed with soft blue light. Hundreds of alien beings sat in rows, all looking down at him. Their eyes were cold and unfriendly. Jake wore his best uniform, the dark blue one with gold buttons that represented Earth. Next to him stood Lisa Cameron, a smart woman who had spent years learning alien languages. On his other side was Colonel Dan Matthews, a soldier who had fought in 3 wars to protect human colonies. The council speaker was a tall alien called Zeth Kara. He had 4 arms and skin you could see through. His voice was deep and scary. When he spoke, "Human Jake Morrison," Zeth Kara said, "you and your people have been found guilty of many crimes. You fight too much. You take planets that do not belong to you. You break our most important laws about not interfering with other species." Jake felt his heart beating fast. He had known this day might come, but it still hurt to hear the words. Around the hall, other aliens nodded their heads. They all agreed. With Zeth Kara, "We have voted," the speaker continued. "All species in the council agree. Humans are no longer welcome here. You must leave our space and never come back." The words hit Jake like a punch to the stomach. 50 years ago, humans had first met aliens when they discovered faster-than-light travel. It was the most exciting day in human history. Now it was ending in the worst possible way. Lisa Cameron stepped forward. She was brave, even though her hands were shaking. "Please reconsider," she said. "Humans have helped you many times. We stopped the Corvan invasion. We shared our medical knowledge. We built trade routes that helped everyone." A slug-like alien with purple skin made a disgusting sound. "Your species is too violent," it said. "You think with your emotions instead of your minds. You cannot control yourselves. This makes you dangerous." Jake wanted to shout back, but he forced himself to stay calm. "We are not perfect," he said. "But we learn from our mistakes. We grow. We become better." "Not fast enough," said another alien, this one with metal parts covering half its face. "Your people still fight wars on your home planet. You argue with each other about everything. You cannot even agree on simple things." Colonel Matthews spoke up. "Yes, we argue. But we also solve problems. When the Zephyrian plague threatened to kill millions, who found the cure? Humans did. When pirates attacked the shipping lanes, who stopped them? We did." The council members whispered among themselves in languages that sounded like music, clicking sounds, and strange electronic noises. Jake could see in their faces that nothing he said would change their minds. Zeth Kara raised his staff, a long metal rod that glowed with power. "The decision is final. All human colonies in council space must be abandoned. All trade agreements are canceled. All diplomatic relations are ended. You have 30 days to leave." Jake looked around the hall one more time. He saw fear in some alien faces, anger in others, and satisfaction in many. They were scared of humans, he realized. Not because humans were evil, but because humans were different. "You are making a terrible mistake," Jake said. His voice was steady now, stronger than before. "Humanity has more to offer than you know. We solve problems in ways you cannot imagine. We adapt when others give up. We survive when others die." "Perhaps," said Zeth Kara, "but survival is not enough for civilization. Good day, humans." As the council members filed out of the hall, Jake felt a hand on his shoulder. It was Captain Amy Rodriguez, the commander of the Earth Defense Force ships that had brought them here. She was a small woman with dark hair and fierce eyes. "The ships are ready," she whispered. "All human vessels are prepared to leave on your order." Jake nodded. He had hoped this day would never come, but he had prepared for it anyway. Operation Exodus was a secret plan that only a few people knew about. If humanity was kicked out of the council, they would not go quietly into the dark. The humans walked out of the crystal hall for the last time. Their footsteps echoed in the empty corridors. Outside, their ships waited in the spaceport. The vessels looked small compared to the massive alien ships around them, but they were faster and more advanced than they appeared as they boarded the shuttle that would take them to their ships. Lisa Cameron looked back at the council building. 50 years of friendship, she said sadly. All gone. No, Jake replied. Not gone. Changed. They think they are punishing us, but they are setting us free. The shuttle lifted off and headed toward the human fleet. Through the window, Jake could see the alien ships keeping their distance, as if humans were diseased. Soon, he thought, they would understand their mistake. In the command center of the flagship, Jake sent a coded message to Earth. The message was simple but important. Operation Exodus is a go. Tell them we are coming home. As the human fleet left council space, Jake looked at the stars ahead. Somewhere out there was humanity's future. It would be different from what they had planned, but it would be theirs to control. The aliens thought. They were sending humans into exile. They did not know they were about to create something far more dangerous than they could imagine. 5 years had passed since the exile. Dr. Elena Vasquez floated in her laboratory that orbited around Jupiter. The space station was huge, bigger than any city on Earth. Through the windows, she could see the giant planet's red spot spinning. Slowly, Elena was the leader of the Terran Scientific Coalition, a group of the smartest humans in the galaxy. She had spent the last 5 years working on projects that would have been impossible before the exile. Now, with no alien rules to follow, human scientists could finally work freely. The new engine tests are going perfectly, said Dr. Kevin. Park, her assistant. He was a young man with thick glasses who rarely slept. Our ships can now travel faster than anything the Council has ever built. Elena smiled. It was the first time she had felt truly happy in years. How much faster? 30% faster, and they use less fuel too, Kevin replied. The quantum drive works by bending space itself. It is like folding a piece of paper to make two distant points touch. Elena nodded. The quantum drive was just one of many breakthroughs humans had made since the exile. Without alien technology to rely on, humans had been forced to invent their own solutions. The results were surprising everyone. What about Captain Harrison's project? Elena asked. Kevin's face lit up with excitement. The neural interface is working better than we hoped. Human pilots can now connect their brains directly to their ships. They do not need to use controls anymore. They just think, and the ship responds. This was the most important discovery of all. While aliens used computers and artificial intelligence to control their ships, humans had found a way to become one with their machines. It was dangerous and difficult, but it gave human pilots abilities that no alien could match. On Earth, General Patricia Wells was reading reports in the Pentagon's new command center. The room was deep underground, protected by layers of steel and concrete. Giant screens showed the locations of human ships and colonies throughout the galaxy. Our shipyards are producing vessels 3 times faster than any council member, reported Commander Rick Torres. He was a tall man with gray hair who had served in the military for 30 years. The new Phoenix-class destroyers are faster, stronger, and better armed than anything we have ever built. Patricia nodded. The exile had forced humans to become completely self-sufficient. They could no longer buy weapons or ships from alien traders. Instead, they had to build everything themselves. The challenge had made them stronger. How many ships do we have now? Patricia asked. 2,000 combat vessels plus 5,000 transport and support ships, Rick replied. And the number grows every day. Our automated factories never stop working. The key to human success was something the aliens had never understood. While alien species followed strict rules and rarely changed their methods, humans were naturally creative and adaptable. They learned from their mistakes quickly and tried new approaches when old ones failed. Agent Nina Foster sat in her office in the Terran Intelligence Network headquarters. The building was hidden in the mountains of Colorado, far from prying eyes. Her job was to monitor alien communications and gather information about the Council's activities. "The Council is having serious problems," Nina reported during a video conference with other human leaders. "The Void Syndicate is attacking their colonies more often. Their defenses are failing." The Void Syndicate was a group of pirates and criminals who raided peaceful planets. They had been a small problem when humans were part of the Council, but now they were growing stronger and bolder. "How bad is it?" asked Admiral Chris Baker, the commander of the human space fleet. He was a tough man with scars on his face from an old battle. "Bad enough that some Council members are talking about asking for help," Nina replied. "They are too proud to admit it, but they need us." Admiral Baker laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Let them burn. They made their choice when they exiled you, but Elena had a different idea. "No, Chris, this is our chance. If we can solve their problems when they cannot, we prove that we are valuable. We show them that they made a mistake." The truth was that human technology had advanced far beyond what the Council thought possible. While aliens had been content to use the same methods for thousands of years, humans had spent 5 years inventing new ways to do everything. Human ships were now faster and more maneuverable than any alien vessel. Human weapons were more accurate and powerful. Human computers were smarter and more flexible. Most importantly, human pilots could do things that no alien could imagine. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a brilliant scientist who specialized in artificial intelligence, had made the biggest breakthrough of all. She had created AI systems that could think and feel like humans, but process information 1,000 times faster. "The AI does not replace human thinking," she explained to Elena. "It enhances it. A human pilot connected to our AI can make decisions in microseconds, react to threats before they happen, and coordinate with other ships without speaking a word." This was something the Council had never achieved. Their AI was smart but cold, logical but inflexible. Human AI was different because it was built by humans for humans. It understood emotions, intuition, and the kind of creative thinking that won battles. Meanwhile, on the planet Mars, engineers were building the largest space construction facility in known history. A facility could build a new starship every day, each one more advanced than the last. The workers were a mix of humans and friendly AI robots that thought alongside their human partners. "We are not just building ships," said Chief Engineer Paul Anderson as he watched a new destroyer take shape. "We are building the future of our species." The exile had taught humanity an important lesson. They were stronger when they relied on themselves. The Council had treated humans like children who needed guidance and protection. Now free from alien influence, humans were discovering what they could really accomplish. As Elena looked out at Jupiter's storms, she thought about the message they had received that morning. It was a distress call from a Council world under attack. The aliens were dying, and they needed help. Soon, she thought, the galaxy would see what humanity had become during their exile. The Council had tried to punish them, but they had only made them stronger. The emergency signal came on a Tuesday morning. Captain Alex Murphy was drinking coffee in his command chair when the communication officer turned to him with wide eyes. "Captain, we are receiving a distress call from Kepler 442b, said Lieutenant Sarah Kim. "The planet is under attack by the Void Syndicate. Their defenses are failing." Alex set down his coffee cup. Kepler 442b was a Council world home to over 50 million aliens. It was also one of the planets that had voted to exile humanity 5 years ago. What is the situation? Alex asked. All Council defense ships have been destroyed or damaged, Sarah replied. The Void Syndicate has 20 large warships surrounding the planet. They are attacking civilian areas. Alex looked at his first officer, Lieutenant Commander Maria Santos. She was a smart woman with dark hair who had served with him for 3 years. What are your thoughts, Maria? The Council exiled us, Maria said carefully. They said we were too violent for civilization. They do not want our help. But people are dying, Alex replied. Innocent people who had nothing to do with the Council's decision. The communication officer spoke up again. Captain, the distress signal is getting weaker. The planet's communication systems are being destroyed. Alex stood up from his chair. He had been waiting for this moment for 5 years. Set course for Kepler 442b, maximum speed. Send a message to Fleet Command. Tell them we are going to help. The UHS Defiance was one of the newest ships in the human fleet. It was sleek and fast, with a hull that seemed to shift and change color in the light. The ship was designed using technology that the Council had never seen before. As they traveled through space, Alex thought about the choice he was making. The Council had rejected humanity, called them unfit for civilization. Now those same aliens were crying for help, and only humans could save them. How long until we reach the planet? Alex asked his navigator. 4 hours at maximum speed, replied Lieutenant John Davis. But Captain, we are just one ship. The Void Syndicate has 20 warships. We cannot fight them all. Alex smiled. We will not be alone for long. He was right. Within an hour, more human ships began appearing in space around them. The Phoenix class. Destroyers were fast and deadly, their hulls glowing with energy. The larger Guardian-class cruisers carried powerful weapons and shield generators. Soon, Alex could count 30 human ships traveling together. This is Admiral Chris Baker, came a voice over the communication system. All ships, prepare for battle. We are going to show the galaxy what humans can do. When the human fleet arrived at Kepler 442b, they found a planet in chaos. The Void Syndicate ships were huge and ugly, covered in spikes and weapons. They surrounded the planet like hungry wolves, firing at anything that moved. All Void Syndicate vessels. Alex broadcast on all frequencies. This is Captain Alex Murphy of the Terran Defense Force. You have 10 seconds to leave this system, or we will destroy you. The response was immediate. The pirate ships turned their weapons toward the human fleet and began firing. Bright beams of energy and explosive missiles filled the space between the two fleets. But something amazing happened. The human ships did not fight like the Council ships did. Instead of staying in formation and following orders, each ship moved independently, flowing like water around the enemy attacks. Captain Murphy felt the neural interface connecting his mind to his ship. Suddenly, he could feel the defiance around him like it was his own body. He could sense the other human ships nearby, their thoughts and intentions flowing through the shared network. The human pilots were not just controlling their ships anymore. They had become one with them. They could predict enemy movements, coordinate attacks without speaking, and react faster than any alien could imagine. Fire all weapons, Alex thought, and his ship responded instantly. The Defiance's guns blazed, with light striking a Void Syndicate cruiser dead center. The enemy ship exploded in a ball of fire around him. The other human ships were dancing through space, dodging enemy fire and striking back with deadly precision. It was like watching a choreographed performance, each ship moving in perfect harmony with the others. The Void Syndicate pirates had never seen anything like it. Their ships were powerful but slow, designed for attacking weak colonies and merchant vessels. They were not prepared to fight an enemy that moved like liquid lightning. "They are not fighting like any species we know," one pirate captain transmitted. To another, "How are they coordinating so perfectly?" The answer was the neural interface technology that humans had developed during their exile. While alien species relied on rigid command structures and slow communication, humans had learned to share their thoughts and instincts directly. Lieutenant Commander Santos, connected to her ship's weapon system, could feel the enemy's fear growing. "They are breaking formation," she reported. "The smaller ships are trying to escape." "Let them go," Alex replied. "Focus on the big ones." The battle lasted only 30 minutes. When it was over, 15 Void Syndicate ships were destroyed, and the remaining 5 were fleeing toward the edge of the system. Not a single human ship had been lost. As the human fleet moved toward the planet, Alex could see the damage the pirates had caused. Cities were burning, space stations were destroyed, and millions of aliens were in danger. "All ships, begin rescue operations," Admiral Baker commanded. "Medical teams to the surface, engineering crews to the damaged stations. Show them what humanity is really about." Within hours, human rescue teams were working alongside alien survivors. Dr. Paul Anderson led a medical team that saved hundreds of injured aliens. Engineer Lisa Park organized the repair of the planet's power systems. Captain Jennifer Walsh coordinated the evacuation of civilians from dangerous areas. On the planet's surface, Seth Kara stood in the ruins of his capital city. The council speaker who had exiled humanity 5 years ago was now watching human medics work desperately to save alien lives. "Why?" he asked when Admiral Baker approached him. "Why did you come? We exiled you. We said you were unfit for civilization." Baker's answer was simple and direct. "Because it was the right thing to do. That is what humans do. We help those who need help, even if they do not like us." Zeth Kara watched a human doctor working to save a young alien child. The doctor was using advanced medical equipment that the council had never seen before. More importantly, the human was crying as he worked, tears streaming down his face as he fought to save a life. "Your people feel so much," Zeth Kara observed. "We thought this was a weakness." "It is our strength," Baker replied. "We care about life, about justice, about doing what is right. That is why we came when you called for help." As the human ships continued their rescue work, news of the battle spread throughout the galaxy. The species that had been exiled for being too violent had just saved 50 million lives. The humans who were supposedly unfit for civilization had shown more compassion than the council itself. The exile was over, but humanity was no longer asking for permission to exist. They had proven their worth in the only way that mattered, through their actions. The council chamber was different now. The same crystal walls still glowed with soft light, but the atmosphere had changed completely. Where once there had been confidence and certainty, now there was confusion and fear. Zeth Kara stood at the center of the hall, but he was no longer the powerful speaker who had exiled humanity. The attack on Kepler 442b had shaken him badly. He had seen his people dying while humans risked their lives to save them. "The human fleet's abilities are beyond anything we predicted," said military analyst Vex Thill. The crystalline being flickered, with patterns that showed stress and worry. Their ships moved like living creatures. Their weapons were more accurate than our computers. Their coordination was perfect. Around the chamber, other council members whispered nervously. The slug-like Velthari representative pulsed with dark colors. The metal-faced Corvin delegate clicked his mechanical fingers against his chair. Everyone was afraid. Dr. Yuki Tanaka stood in the center of the chamber where Jake Morrison had stood 5 years ago. But this time, the humans were not asking for permission. They were here to explain what had happened to them during their exile. "Members of the council," Yuki said, her voice calm and clear. You exiled us because you said we were too emotional, too chaotic, too unpredictable. You were right about those things, but you were wrong about them being weaknesses." She gestured to a holographic display that showed human ships in battle. The aliens watched in amazement as the vessels flowed around enemy fire like water, striking with precision that seemed impossible. "Our exile forced us to evolve," Yuki continued. "While you followed the same rules and methods you had used for thousands of years, we had to learn new ways to survive. We had to become better than we were." The display changed to show the inside of a human ship. The aliens could see Captain Murphy connected to his vessel through the neural interface. His consciousness merged with the ship's computer systems. "Our pilots do not just control their ships," Yuki explained. "They become one with them. Human consciousness combines with artificial intelligence to create something new. We call it symbiotic intelligence." A council member with tentacles for arms raised one of them. "But how is this possible? Our scientists have tried for centuries to create such interfaces. They always fail." "Because you treat artificial intelligence as a tool," Yuki replied. "You build machines to serve you, to follow your orders. We build machines to work with. US, to share our thoughts and feelings." She pressed a button, and the display showed human and AI working together in a laboratory. The artificial intelligence was not just calculating and analyzing. It was learning, growing, and even showing what looked like emotions. "This is Captain Jennifer Walsh," Yuki said as a woman appeared on the display. "She will demonstrate our neural interface technology." Captain Walsh was a small woman with short brown hair and bright green eyes. She had volunteered to show the council what humans had achieved during their exile. As the aliens watched, she placed a simple headband on her forehead. Suddenly, Jennifer's voice came from speakers throughout the chamber. But it was different. Now, deeper and more complex. "I am connected to your station's computer systems," she said. "I can feel every sensor, every communication channel, every piece of data flowing through your networks." The aliens gasped. Jennifer was not just accessing their computers. She was experiencing them, feeling them like they were part of her own body. "I can monitor 1,000 conversations at once," Jennifer continued. "I can process information at speeds your fastest computers cannot match. But I am still human. I still feel emotions, still make intuitive leaps, still think in ways that pure logic cannot." Zethkara leaned forward. "How is this possible?" "Our best scientists say that biological and artificial intelligence cannot merge without destroying both." "Because your scientists think in terms of dominance," Jennifer replied. "One intelligence controlling another. We think in terms of partnership. The AI does not replace human thought. It enhances it." The display showed more examples of human-AI cooperation. Scientists working with AI assistants to solve complex problems. Engineers designing new technologies with AI partners. Soldiers coordinating with AI to protect civilians. "This is why we defeated the Void Syndicate so easily," Yuki said. "Our pilots were not just skilled individuals. They were part of a network, sharing thoughts and instincts instantly. They could predict enemy movements, coordinate attacks, and adapt to changing conditions faster than any conventional force." But the revelation that shocked the Council most was what humans had done with their colonies. The display showed thriving human settlements on planets throughout the galaxy, but they were not alone. Other species lived there too, working alongside humans as equals. 12 non-council species have chosen to join us, Yuki announced. They were not conquered or forced. They chose to become part of our coalition because they saw the advantages of our approach. The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. The idea that species would voluntarily leave the council to join humans was almost unthinkable. The Zephyrians were dying from a plague that you could not cure. Yuki continued. We saved them, and they asked to join us. The Altarians were being enslaved by the Corvan Empire. We freed them, and they chose to become our allies. One by one, Yuki listed the species that had joined humanity. Each story was the same. Humans had helped when the Council could not or would not, and grateful species had chosen to join the human coalition. But we are not building an empire, Yuki said. We are building something new. A society where different species work together as equals, where artificial intelligence helps biological intelligence grow, where diversity is seen as strength rather than weakness. The display showed human cities where aliens and humans lived side by side, their children playing together, their scientists collaborating on projects that benefited everyone. You exiled us for being too chaotic, Yuki said. But chaos is the engine of change. Predictability leads to stagnation. Emotions drive innovation. Diversity creates strength. As the presentation ended, the chamber fell silent. The council members stared at the evidence before them. Humanity had not just survived their exile. They had thrived beyond anything the council had ever achieved. What do you want from us? Zethkara asked finally. Nothing, Yuki replied. We do not need your approval anymore. We are not asking to rejoin the council. We are offering you the chance to learn from us. The implications were staggering. Humanity was no longer the junior species begging for acceptance. They had become the most advanced civilization in the galaxy, and they were offering to share their knowledge with the very beings who had rejected them. We bear no grudge, Yuki continued. We understand why you feared us, but fear is not a reason to reject growth. We invite you to evolve with us, to learn what we have learned, to become more than you ever thought possible. As the human delegation left the chamber, the council members sat in stunned silence. They had tried to exile humanity to protect their civilization. Instead, they had forced humans to create a better one. The old order was crumbling, and something new was taking its place. The question was whether the council would adapt or be left behind by the species they had once rejected. 2 years after the battle at Kepler 442b, the galaxy was completely different. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UHS Ascendant, the largest ship ever built by humans. It was more than just a warship. It was a floating city home to over 1 million people from dozens of different species. Through the massive windows, Jake could see human colonies spread across the star system. Space stations orbited every planet, connected by streams of ships carrying people and goods. It was a sight that would have been impossible when humans were part of the council. A formal request came through this morning, said Commander Scott. Williams, Jake's aide. He was a young man with red hair who had grown up on one of the human colonies. The council wants to discuss readmission talks. They are offering full membership and a seat on the high command. Jake almost laughed. The same council that had exiled humanity was now begging them to come back, but the offer was too little too late. Send them a polite refusal, Jake said. Tell them we have moved beyond needing their approval. The truth was that humanity had done more than just survive their exile. They had created something better than the council had ever been. The human coalition now included 15 different species, all working together as equals. These were not conquered peoples, but willing partners who had chosen humanity over the council. Dr. Rachel Park, Elena's successor as head of the Terran Scientific Coalition, was working in her laboratory on a space station orbiting Proxima Centauri. Around her, human and alien scientists worked side by side, their neural interfaces allowing them to share thoughts and ideas instantly. The Quantum Consciousness Project is ahead of schedule, Rachel reported during a video conference with other coalition leaders. We have successfully transferred human consciousness into an artificial body without losing any memories or personality. This was the most advanced technology in the galaxy. While the Council still treated death as final, humans had learned to preserve consciousness itself. They were not just extending life anymore. They were conquering death. The implications are staggering. Rachel continued. A person could live forever, switching between biological and artificial bodies as needed. They could experience space travel without worrying about radiation or aging. They could explore dangerous planets without risking their lives. But the technology was not being used just for humans. The Coalition had offered it to all member species, and many had chosen to enhance themselves with artificial components. The result was a new form of life that combined the best of biological and artificial intelligence. On the political front, President Angela Torres had established the Human Colonial Authority, a government that was completely different from the Council's rigid hierarchy. Instead of having one species rule over others, every member species had an equal voice in decisions that affected them. Democracy is messy, Angela explained to a gathering of alien ambassadors. We argue, we disagree, we sometimes make mistakes. But we also learn, we grow, and we become stronger through our differences. The alien ambassadors were confused by this concept. In their cultures, order and hierarchy were everything. The idea that chaos and disagreement could lead to strength was foreign to them. But how do you make decisions if everyone disagrees? Asked the Altarian representative, a tall being with blue skin and large eyes. We talk until we find solutions. That work for everyone, Angela replied. It takes longer than having one ruler make all the decisions, but the results are better because everyone has contributed. The success of the Coalition was undeniable. Their planets were more prosperous. Their people were happier, and their technology was advancing faster than anyone had thought possible. Most importantly, they had achieved something the Council never had: true peace between different species. The final blow to the old order came when the Nexus Collective, the most advanced species in the galaxy, formally requested a meeting with humanity. These beings had founded the Council thousands of years ago and had always remained mysterious and distant. Prime Node 7 materialized in the conference room of New Geneva, humanity's new capital. It was a being of pure energy, glowing with soft light that pulsed in complex patterns. Your species has achieved something we believed impossible. It communicated through quantum fluctuations that were translated into human language. You have maintained your biological nature while transcending its limitations. You have created artificial life while preserving natural consciousness. You have mastered both order and chaos. Jake Morrison, now serving as the Coalition's representative to other galactic powers, listened carefully. He had expected this day would come eventually. What do you want from us? Jake asked. We want to learn, Prime Node 7 replied. For millions of years, we have existed as pure intelligence, beyond emotion, beyond instinct, beyond the chaos that drives biological life. We thought this was evolution, but we were wrong. The energy being pulsed with colors that seemed to express sadness. We have achieved perfect order, perfect logic, perfect efficiency. But we have lost something essential. We cannot create, cannot grow, cannot dream. We exist, but we do not truly live. Jake understood now. The Nexus Collective had evolved beyond biology, but in doing so, they had lost their humanity. They had become perfect machines, but they were no longer alive in any meaningful sense. You want to become human, Jake said. Not physically, Prime Node 7 replied, but spiritually, emotionally, creatively. We want to learn how to feel, how to hope, how to dream. We want to remember what it means to be alive. The request was unprecedented. The most advanced beings in the galaxy were asking humanity to teach them how to be human. It was the ultimate vindication of everything humans had stood for. We can try, Jake said. But becoming human is not something you can learn from books or programs. It is something you must experience. Over the following months, members of the Nexus Collective began working alongside humans and other coalition species. They took on temporary biological forms, experiencing hunger, fatigue, and emotions for the first time in millions of years. The results were remarkable. The energy beings began to show creativity, to make art, to form friendships. They laughed. They cried. They fell in love. They were remembering what it meant to be alive. Meanwhile, the Council was collapsing. Without humanity's innovation and the Coalition's growing influence, the old order was crumbling. Species were leaving the Council to join humanity, and those that remained were struggling with problems they could not solve. Jake Morrison stood once again on the bridge of the Ascendant, watching the stars. A message had arrived from Zeth Kara, the Council speaker who had exiled humanity 7 years ago. "We were wrong," the message said simply. "We thought strength came from order, from following rules, from eliminating chaos. But you have shown us that strength comes from growth, from adaptation, from embracing change. We ask not for forgiveness, but for guidance." Jake smiled as he deleted the message. Forgiveness was not his to give or withhold. The Council had made their choice, and humanity had made theirs. The future belonged to those who were willing to grow, to change, to become something more than they had been. The human age had truly begun, not through conquest or domination, but through the simple act of being human. They had been exiled for their chaos, their emotions, their unpredictability. Now those same qualities were leading the galaxy into a new era of prosperity and peace. In the end, humanity's greatest victory was not defeating their enemies. It was proving that being human was not a weakness to be overcome, but a strength to be celebrated. The galaxy's future was being written by the species that had been too chaotic for civilization.